So Paranormal Activity had brought and elevated the found footage genre in the sense that it had granted itself some amount of credibility to the storytelling narrative that it had presented, and most prominently in dealing with some of the weaknesses within it. And of course, the main one is that, why are they still filming this when you're in horrific danger and that sort of thing? And the film series continues to find ways to achieve this throughout. And so right off the bat, very simple, you have this couple and the boyfriend wants to get this weird stuff on camera and becomes obsessive about it and ultimately dooms the both of them, even though overall, as the series continues, they were probably doomed from the start no matter what they did. So what was this all about? The first film was successful, so hey, let's do another one. Well, what do you do? Well, you look at the elements that are presented for whatever backstory there must be for what's going on with Katie in the last film, and you expand upon that. And so the sequel is more prequel than sequel, but it's both. And it deals with that. So there were certain little tidbits in the first film that now you can see are revelations of what the backstory was. The burnt photograph that was found in the attic in the first movie, and Katie explaining about her and her sister being tormented by this entity. So we meet the sister in the next movie, and she's has married this man who has a daughter from a previous relationship, and they've just had their own child, this young boy, and I forget what I think he was like a district manager for McDonald's or something like that. But he had a very nice house and everything, and so right off the bat they come up with a clever means, probably one of the best of these found footage scenarios, and that how do you keep the camera going? And so there's this burglary that happens in the house, and it's ransacked and all kinds of stuff. This becomes even more significant later on through the franchise. But at the time, that was the deal, and he says, oh, man, we got to get some security in here. So he contacts a company, and they wire the whole house with security cameras. So every inch of the house, for the most part, is on camera, and then of course just the basic of home movies and stuff like that comes into play as well. His teenage daughter likes to tape a lot of stuff and that sort of thing, so it fits. It's credible right there. You've solved that problem pretty much completely. And again, as I said, this is one of the best ones that handles this, where it's believable that this gets on tape. And so the rest of the story is detailing what happened. You begin to realize that this is actually in the past. Katie shows up, visits with her sister, and she has the baby. She wants to meet the baby and all that stuff. And then her boyfriend shows up as well. He's not dead yet. And one of the great things, there's a swimming pool scene where Katie's in a bikini, and that is magnificent. Hey. Look, come on. So anyway, you get the deal where things start to occur, and the sister is hearing things and seeing things and stuff like that. There's a constant refrain that something is afoot, where there's this pool cleaner device that's automated, and it floats around in the pool, but every morning it's out of the pool. And no one really sees it. After a while, they notice this, and eventually the camera catches it. It's some invisible force lifts it out of the pool. But the husband he's in denial of the whole thing, and the wind did it, and all this stuff. And there's a lot of fairly decent humor here between the daughter and her boyfriend and stuff like that. But you're getting more clues of what's been going on with these sisters, because eventually she confides in her older sister Katie, and Katie says the best thing to do is ignore it. The more attention we paid to it, it got worse. And then she drops a line about, because Christy, her sister, keeps harping on this because she's getting nerve-wracked and rattled by it, and she says, you need to let it go or you're going to end up like Mom. And whatever that meant, it seemed to suggest that their mother went crazy with this or something along those lines. And it becomes significant in the third film when I review that, and where I think in the long run they went wrong with it. But anyway, it's details like that they suffered this in their youth, and they never really knew what it was about. So you have the family dynamic they're going through there. They keep seeing things. The women are saying there's something up. The husband doesn't want to hear it, all that stuff. Eventually, he has to face it. They have a maid who's a Mexican woman, and she's very much a believer in spirits and stuff like that, and actually tries to warn them. She starts burning incense around the house when something weird happens there. They have a dog, too, and the dog's very much aware something's wrong. They don't listen to the dog either. So the husband's freaked out about the incense thing, so he says, I don't believe in this stuff, and I'll give you a good reference, but I don't want you in my house anymore. Her sins are on her way. Well, things get worse, of course. And eventually, Christy is possessed by the entity. The dog is attacked, and I think the dog survived. I think we were good on that. They took him to a veterinary hospital. But he was attacked because the demon had to get rid of him. But it was after the baby, and the idea ultimately, as the story unfolds, it's really after the child. And the stepdaughter here, she actually she explores this, and we really get the main plot of it all and what this is about, and she mentions that the girl's mother, or grandmother rather, was possibly a witch. And so this type of thing, and that she had been a part of this dark coven who consorted with demons or a demon or what have you. So there you go. You pretty much have the explanation right then and there. She's suspecting this, but she doesn't know it for sure. But you know it for sure at this point. And the rest, of course, is mood, atmospherics, which is pretty much all you got with these, but it's the means by how it's performed and how things get worse. And what would you do? I mean, it's not like you can call the police or anything. Even though they would look at videos, hey, look, she's flying upstairs. So there's a lot of, they had more money, they could play with more of the effects and stuff like that. Ultimately, when husband is confronted with undeniable video evidence of what's going on, he reaches back out to the maid, and she comes back and she says, oh, you gotta have an exorcism, there's only one way to do this. And there's this ritual that means the only thing you can do is pass the demon on to someone else. And I believe it did have to be a relative, so they pass it on to Katie, and they have the photograph. Now initially they do mention that in the past their house burnt down, and when you saw the photograph in the previous film, it was burnt, but it wasn't burned in that, it was burned in this ritual. So there's that to put into it. And then somehow the demon got a hold of it and stuck it in Katie's attic. So that's what they did. And so at the ultimate end, the penultimate end, I guess, all the lights go out, so the power's off, there's no more camera, but they do have their own camera on battery, and it's the only means by which to see in the dark. So once again, very credible that he would use the camera trying, because the baby gets lost in the basement and he chases after the child, and his possessed wife is down there and all that, and he's attacked, but he manages to do the ritual with a crucifix and all that and frees her from the demon. But of course, by doing so, it's transferred to Katie. Well, everything seems fine. Everything calms down. All's well, and he's relaxing at TV, and suddenly Katie shows up and breaks his neck because it's the night at the end of the original movie. So after she got rid of Mika, she went to her sister's house to get Hunter, the baby, because the demon wants a male heir of this family. So there you are, and then Katie disappears with the child, and that's the end. She kills her sister, she kills her brother-in-law, And the tagline shows the stepdaughter survived, and I'm assuming the dog did too. And we'll see her again later on, but that's how they leave it there. And so it's, you know, a sequel prequel type deal, but it's good. And again, one of the best explanations, which is a strong part of it, and the believability that the cameras would capture everything. And I think they did a very good job on that. And it fits in rather nicely. So they've crafted a narrative here more so than the first one. They had to build on it. You know, they had these teases in it, which weren't really teases. They were just sort of lines to say, oh, yeah, my family had this, and that was about it. You know, but then you look at things and, well, what can I expand from there? And they did. And so far, so good. And, well, we'll see where this goes in Paranormal Activity 3.